Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Hello dear friends, welcome back to Spiritism and the Media here on Kardec Radio. Today I brought for us to study a text from the book Green Light, channeled by Francisco Cândido Xavier, but written by the spirit André Luiz. So André Luiz is the same spirit that has written the book Nosso Lar and many other books channeled by Francisco Cândido Xavier or Chico Xavier. And the text that I brought today, it's called Letters, and it's writing about the habit of writing letters to others. And today, as we do not usually write letters anymore, so I think we can take this information and instead of thinking about letters, we can think about emails, about text messages, and about any kind of written communications that we have today, written communications like electronic communications that we have today. So I'm going to read like the paragraphs, and after each one of them, we can think about it a little bit and see how we can bring that information to our daily lives and to the activities that we do in a daily basis. So it is number 40 from the book Green Light, Letters. Be precise and brief when writing a letter. However, avoid being cold. So avoid being cold is something that we need to bring the warmth that we have within us, and we need to be like human. Like even though we are writing many times in an electronic way, we need to bring that touch that I'm the one who is sending that message to the other person. It's not a computer, it's not something automatic that I'm writing to them. So let's make it personal. Let's always try to bring a little bit of ourselves in the words that we are bringing to the other. A letter is a spiritual portrait of the person who writes it. So it's very important that a letter is a spiritual portrait of the person who writes it. So in the letter, we are showing to the other, like when we write, can be an email, can be a text message, can be an inbox on any of the apps that we have today. But when we write that, we are bringing our spiritual portrait, like we are showing who we are, at least a part of who we are. So the person can actually read that and see how we are, the message that we're bringing, the way that we'll like to transmit that message to the person. It's very important for us to see and to notice that it's a little bit of ourselves that we are sending to others. And André Luiz says, when writing a letter, write it clearly and legibly so that you do not transform your friends into a hieroglyphic decoder. So, of course, he wrote that in a time that we did write letters, like handwriting. Today is very difficult for us to at least on a daily basis, write letters, like handwrite letters to others. So how can we change that message to the way that we write today? One way that I think is like abbreviations. Many times we use many abbreviations when we write text or emails. And let's always have in our minds, okay, does that person know this abbreviation, or it's better if I write actually what it means instead of using the abbreviation? Because the same way that if we had a handwriting that a person cannot understand and the person needs to become a decoder, like they are saying here, the same way if I write many abbreviations, if I write in a way that a person does not understand, the person will take an extra time to decode that. So it happens to me a lot. Many times I receive some abbreviations that I don't know. I need to Google them. I need to go online and to try to check what it means. And many times it can waste the time of the person who is reading. So let's always think if the person would understand what we are writing, and a way for us to be direct so the person can write a way, read the message and understands what we are willing to tell the person. And André Luiz continues. As much as you can, send news of peace, optimism, hope, and joy. Write constructively. So let's bring good news to the world. Let's try to bring that message of peace, of hope, no matter how we write. At least one paragraph can be something that brings joy to the person. Let's always try to say hi, good morning, or I wish you, I hope you are having a wonderful day, something like that. Many times just a little sentence can modify the day of any one of us. It happens to me many times. I am having a very okay day and someone writes to me, and with just one sentence can make my day like uplifted. So let's think the same way when we are writing to others. Let's try to bring those uplifting messages. So even it is an emoji that we can use today, for example, can make the person feel better. So there are many different ways today, especially when we are thinking about writing online. So there are many ways that we can use to uplift the day of our friends. So let's try to bring that to our daily activities. And a letter written by you is a letter written as if you were talking. And any subject can be approached with elevation and benevolence. So no matter the topic that we are doing, can be an email, a professional email, depending on the way that we write, it can bring elevation and benevolence. And I always think that we need to write as if we were talking, so the person can feel that we are that feel that unique presence of ours, bringing that message, that information to them. Let's always not try to do in the automatical way. It's very easy to fall into that, especially when we are having a busy day, but let's always try to bring something personal to the message. And if it is not possible to write good things about a certain person, the best thing to do is to be silent about them. So as we have already studied here about gossiping, so let's avoid that. Let's avoid telling bad things about others. So why am I writing this message just to gossip, just to bring some bad information, if it is going to add something to others' people's lives? So let's always try to think about that before sending the message. Like always read again what we wrote so we can really think if it is really necessary, all the information is necessary or not. So we can cut some parts, we can edit a little bit before we send it. And André Luiz finishes saying, we are responsible for the images we create in people's mind, not only by our spoken words, but also by our writings. So it's important for us to see that, because when we write, we are creating that image. So the person who is reading, like for example, if I receive a letter, an email, a text message, I create that image of the person who sent that, like telling me that. So the same way that I do that when I receive a message, when I send a message, the other is also thinking about me and creating that image in their mind. So let's always ask, what is the image that I am sending? What is the image that the person will create with the words that I sent here? So it's interesting for us to see how André Luiz wrote about letters and how we can bring that information today to any kind of electronic communications that we have and that we use in our daily lives. And so as usual, I'm going to open randomly a page from the book Happy Life by Divaldo Franco and Joana de Angelis to bring an uplifting message to the end of the program. So lesson number 76. Stop complaining all the time so that you will not become a persona non grata. Keeping company with complainers is very unpleasant. They find fault with everything and they want the world to revolve around them in conformance with their way of seeing things. Since you cannot change others, you must work tirelessly on your own self-improvement. If everything displeases you and you find yourself complaining all the time, watch out. It is an attitude of someone who is out of sorts with life and him or herself. You must tolerate yourself and learn to be tolerant to others. Thank you so much for your company. May God be with all of us, and see you next week.